Hey guys, what's up? Russell with Two Trail Hikers. So I'm out here on top of the RV, and I'm sure in the background you can see what we're planning on doing. We did the Ames inverter with the automatic transfer switch. It was a pure sine wave inverter, and we've done a video. Actually, we did several videos. I'll post a link to the first one up here, and you can go and see that. And after doing that video, we were contacted by Ames to see if we were interested in reviewing solar panels. Well, hadn't done any research on them or anything, so I didn't really know, and basically decided, I said, you know, I'll get online, I'll take a look, and we'll see what we can work out. And sure enough, I got online. They offer these flexible panels, and they are flexible, I think, from up to 90 degrees. Either way, they're 120 watt panels. Yeah, and the thing that kind of surprised me is they were rated really high as a percentage of efficiency. You know, looking at the back, you got a maximum power of 120 watts. They'll do a maximum of 22 volts and a maximum power current of 5.5 amps. You know, I'm no expert on solar, so let me go ahead and say that up front. I don't understand all of it. There's plenty of calculators out there, and there's plenty of people out there that are way more knowledgeable than I am as far as solar is concerned, hands down. I know that this will give us basically two 120 watt panels, giving us 240 watts. And if we do 5 amps each, since they're rated at 5.5, under optimum conditions, that's going to give us 10 amps of charge. So what we ended up doing is we got 2 of the panels and laying them out on the roof. There's actually enough room up here on the Vegas 25.3 to put 5 panels easily. You could probably put more than that if you wanted to. Based on 5.5 amp maximum output and 5 panels, it would put us at like 27.5 amps. So our 30 amp controller would be maxed out at that point. You would have to get a higher amp controller. But what we did opt to do is we got the MPPT controller instead of the PWM. After reading online, it appears that the MPPT controllers are more efficient. They seem to, I guess, convert more solar power into charge for the battery more efficiently, or whatever. Like I said, I'm not an expert on solar by all means. Now, these panels seem to be pretty good. They're monocrystalline panels, which is better than the polys from everything that I read. And Ames sends you this kit that comes with the butyl tape, the screws, and the rubber grommets. Now, after contacting Thor and getting the schematics for our roof diagram and getting the general layout and stuff, I've realized that we're not going to be able to screw these into the support braces that are in our roof. They're not going to line up with the holes in the panels. That brings me to another aspect of it, that most RVers don't want to put holes in their roof unless they absolutely have to, because let's face it, one of the most detrimental things to an RV is to have a water leak on the top. If you get water intrusion into an RV, it can go unnoticed for a tremendous amount of time and create just countless amounts of dollars of damage inside an RV that requires an extensive amount of repairs, that puts you out of service, and, you know, in essence, could pretty much ruin an RV. So after researching it, what we found was most everybody is using the Eternabond tape. I don't know if Ames is considered doing this or not, but one of the, you know, recommendations that I'm going to make is given an option to purchase the actual kit of the solar panel with the screws or with the Eternabond tape in order to install it on the roof. I like the Eternabond tape idea a lot better because I don't have to put holes in my roof. Granted, they send you a quality kit, It's stainless steel screws. They're self-tapping. They've got the butyl tape. They've got the rubber washers. The only thing that you're going to have to do is go back and put some you know, self-leveling lap sealant or Dicor or whatever is appropriate for your application over top of these, just for that added benefit of insurance. Now, these are the same screws, really, if you look at them. They're the same thing that you're going to get for metal roofs, just like the metal roof on the carport here that we're sitting under right now. It's got a rubber washer on it and it's going to seal. However, RVs going down the road are going through a hurricane. Every time you drive them, they're going through a hurricane. 50 to 60 mile an hour winds, rocking, shaking, it's an earthquake, you know, the whole 9 yards. So that puts a little more stress on stuff like that than like a carport just getting blown in the heavy thunderstorm winds. And plus too, if this leaks, the RV's sealed, so it's not as much of a big deal if the carport leaks down onto the RV because the RV's sealed. If the RV leaks, that's a major problem because it goes inside. So anyhow, moving on. So what I ended up doing was I actually ordered the 2-inch Eternabond tape. It gives me an inch overlap on my panel, and it gives me an inch overlap onto the RV surface. Now, looking at the panels, I don't have quite a full inch on the side coming down through here. Realistically, we probably got about a 1/2 inch, and I think the key thing from what I researched is do not cover up the monocrystalline panels, the little cubes here. Make sure that the tape is out to the outside. As long as it's in line with the outside edge of that sail right there, we should be perfectly fine. It shouldn't be a problem. And probably what I'll do is trim out and seal off this hole just so water can't get underneath the panel and set, things of that nature. You know, and the flip side of that too is if you ever want to take the Eternabond tape off, then realistically all you'd have to do is just take and trim it along the edge of the panel and then pull the panel off, and you can take the panel off and replace it. And then there's actually, you can go to Eternabond's website and they have the instructions there on how to remove the tape. It can be removed. It's no different than the lap sealant from Dicor. It can be removed. They make chemicals and stuff that'll remove it. So what I'm going to do is I've got the connectors to wire this up in parallel and series, and basically I'm going to do it because I don't know which one's going to be best, and I don't know which one's going to provide us the best service. I know if one panel gets shaded, then it kills the other panel if you wire it, I think, in series, and then in parallel they both charge independently from each other and send the current into one line. So if one panel's shaded and one panel's in the sun, you still get charge out of that panel that's in the sun. And that may be the option that we go. I don't know. I've got the Y connector to be able to connect them that way, and then in order to connect them, I think in series is positive to negative, and then run the positive and negative to the charge controller off of each panel. Our RV came pre-wired for solar. I'm trying to think of a good way to put this. If they tell you that your RV is pre-wired for solar, find out in detail what that means. Because what I found on ours is all that means is there is a pair of 10 gauge wires that runs from the roof down to the electrical panel. And keep in mind, I'm going to take you inside the RV and show you the MPPT controller, how I run the wiring, how I made my connections, how I'm going to run it to the battery, how I'm going to hide the wires, everything. I'm going to go through all that. So I may do that in a 2-part video. We'll do the roof installation and then do a second video. And if I do that, I'll post a link to that second video up here so you can see the inside components and how we set those up. Which will also in turn take you into the battery compartment where we installed those 2 6-volt AGM batteries in place of our 2 12 volts, and I'll link to that video up here as well. But going back to the pre-wire for solar, they basically gave us 2 MC4 connectors up here on the roof. They've got a stub out, which is nice. I didn't have to buy that. I don't have to cut a hole in the roof, and I don't have to run the wires through the coach. So that does make it somewhat better for us. However, when they told me it was pre-wired for solar, I assumed, and it was a lack of research on my part, by all means, I assumed that it was solar ready. Basically, I just needed to plug solar panels in, and we were good to go. No, after figuring it out, basically I just have 2 10-gauge wires that run from the roof down to where the electrical panel is. And that's fine, because that did help me, but I would have liked to have known that ahead of time, before just assuming that everything was there, because it does increase the cost. These panels sell for around $200 a piece. I think you can get them, there's companies out there that got them for $190, they've got them for $225, they've got them for $220. I'll post links to everything that we use down in the description, and obviously there'll be affiliate links from Amazon, and we really appreciate your support on Amazon, because it helps us to be able to keep moving forward on our plan to hopefully at some point full-time RV. And that's what we're doing, is we're setting this up to full-time RV, really. We've got a trip coming up that we're going to be going to Alaska, and it's a little ways off, but we've got time to get everything installed and have it set and ready to go. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to stop the camera. I'm going to get everything kind of moved out of the way and situated, and reposition the camera so we can get in here and actually start looking at the actual install and how I'm going to do the Eternabond tape, the panels, and lay them out. And then we'll start with the process of getting all the wiring and stuff laid out, and I won't hook that up until I finish the install down inside the RV. So stick with me, I'll be right back in just a minute. Alright, so I've got this panel laid out on the roof here, and this is pretty much the position that I wanted in. And one thing that they've done is they put this clear cover on here, and it overlaps onto the edge. So I think the key here is make sure this is removed prior to attaching the tape, because at the end of the day, when you go to take this off so the solar panel will work and be more efficient without having this plastic cover on it, then you won't be able to take this off because the tape will be stuck to it, and then this stuff's not stuck that great to the panel, so we run the risk of the panel coming off. So I'm just going to run around this and take all this loose. Oh, and by the way too, yesterday I came out here and I washed the entire roof down. Basically I cleaned it from one end to the other with Dawn dish detergent, and got it prepped so it could dry overnight and be ready. Basically, from everything I read, the TPO roof like this is, and the EPDM roofs, you can clean them with a mild detergent and it's fine. It doesn't create any problems for the roof or anything like that. So, all right. So we got our panel laid out. We got our plastic pulled back. Now what I need to do is come in here. Oops, still got a little bit stuck right there. There we go. Now we're going to pull off a strip of the Eternabond tape to apply to the roof. Okay. Okay. So don't lay that down. Everything I've read, this stuff is super sticky. I think probably what we're going to do here I'm not sure what they've done. I think they put the tape underneath it. Okay. So there we go. Now, there's a plastic coating on this tape that keeps it from sticking until you're ready to stick it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll it out the length I need, and I'm actually going to overlap the ends here. So once I get it the length I need, we're going to be super careful to cut it and not cut the roof. Now, I'm going to lay that back on this paper so it doesn't stick to anything. So now, what we'll do is flip this over and get it laid in place. And I'm telling you, this stuff is sticky. Holy cow, it is sticky. So now, it's got a clear layer right there that's going to come off. I'm just going to peel that back a short distance so I can start the application of this right on the edge of this panel. Just like that. And now I'll keep peeling back and doing this in short increments down this panel until I get the entire panel attached to the roof here. And then once I have the entire panel attached to the roof, I'll be ready to take you inside and show you all the internal components. And once we get all the internal components done, we'll be ready to come back out and attach out here. Well, looks like my plastic liner ripped right there. God, this stuff is sticky. Holy cow. It does not want to turn loose. There we go. Okay. Make sure that's pulled back. Okay. Alright, that's got our first strip put on. I'm gonna probably come back and really roll this out nice and flat, because I know this stuff is pressure sensitive. The better you press it down initially, the better it'll seal. So that's going to be the plan there, is once I get everything applied down, then we'll come back and we'll really apply this seam edge and stuff and make sure this is rolled down nice and smooth and we've got good adhesion to the entire panel. So I'm going to go ahead and get this one taped down, and I'm going to go ahead and get the other one taped down, and then I'll bring you back and get you a finalized shot of how it looks once it's finished. And then we'll take you down inside and start showing you all the wiring and controls and stuff inside the RV. Alright guys, there it is. It's down. I'm probably going to come back and put a piece across these corners right here just to make sure I got it sealed good. But there's our panel. It's put down. It's nice and solid. It's not going anywhere. And one thing I forgot to mention too is Ames gives you, I think, roughly about 11 feet of cable. I'm probably not going to need that much because I've only got to go about 3.5, 4 feet to my pre-wired connection for my solar. But I've got a bag of MC4 connectors down there that I can cut this down and make it to the length that I want and make my own cables, which would be fine, because as long as I've got the MC4 connectors on there, they're weather sealed and they're good to go. So that's one panel down. Now I just need to get the other one, and hopefully I can get that other one done and we can get down off the roof before it gets 100 degrees outside today, because it's already hot.